What's up, TD? Absolutely. Hit the shit out of that like button. If you're not watching it now, you can watch it later. But we are diving in here on a Saturday night here, talking Steelers, talking NFL, just talking in general. So yeah, we're diving in again. If you're not watching it now, you can watch it later. But make sure you hit that like button, even if you watch the upload. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the moves, some of the offseason things that are going on here with the Pittsburgh Steelers in terms of getting rid of some players here. Preston Smith now out, giving the Steelers about a $12 million cap buffer there. That's a big number. That's a huge number for your Steelers. What's up, DJ? What's up, Miss P? That gives the Steelers though a lot of flexibility when you lose a guy like that. That's not saying that they don't explore bringing him back, but now that gives Preston Smith that opportunity to hit free agency a little bit earlier here. Beginning March 12th, I believe, is the correct date for free agency to kick off. So that starts to give the Pittsburgh Steelers a little bit of knowledge of some of the numbers they're going to get in terms of what they're going to be able to spend financially and things of that nature. So it has begun. They've started to do that. They've started to build their money that they're going to need to go out there and spend in free agency. So Preston Smith being gone, a guy that came from the Green Bay Packers, acquired by a seventh-round pick from your Pittsburgh Steelers, played in about roughly 8 games, if my memory serves me correctly, with really minimal impact as far as what he was doing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. There were a play here that Preston did contribute with to try to ignite that defense a little bit, but yet it really was a very unproductive time in terms of what he was able to do, bringing him in. And there was no way in hell the Steelers were going to go out there and, spend $12-13 million for Preston Smith. That just wasn't going to happen. So, again, Preston Smith out. As a Pittsburgh Steeler now, again, able to get a little bit of a jump start here on free agency starting March 12th. So, Daniel Barry, what's up? Tom Ford, what is up, my friend? Steve Winters in the house. Thank you, man. It is always a pleasure to have you also. I'm hearing more rumors that we're going to sign Aaron Rodgers. Please tell me that's not true. Yeah, I don't believe that stuff, guys. Please just shake that off until we really start to see something that actually is concrete. Not the clickbait stuff, not the just hypothetical craziness that some of these people talk about out there in the podcast realm, just trying to fill content. Just chill with that. Downtown, John Broadway, USA versus Canada hockey tonight. Crosby watching. Awesome, man. That's awesome. I do miss watching hockey. I am going to watch the Daytona 500 tomorrow, too. Trying to get back into racing a little bit. Zach Curry, what's up, man? Hello. Hoping everybody's having a good evening. Wow, it just started. I want to try something. If you click a comment, what options come up? Do any say pin comment? I've been looking into. Yeah, I can pin comments. I do occasionally pin comments. Young venues name. We won't do that. Pablo Torres, what's up? Liam. We won't do that. Hold on. Let me get rid of this dude. Thank you. Okay. All right. Sorry, guys. I was just weeding out some of the dead fat there. Aaron Rodgers to the Vikings. That's from Perry County. Yeah, maybe that would work for him. He would have a lot of weapons there. That might be a more ideal situation for somebody like Rodgers. DJ, not enough big stadium. Not a big enough stadium for Rodgers and Tomlin's ego. Yeah, no shit. That's a good one, DJ. Absolutely. I wasn't here yesterday. I wasn't here either, Tom. I didn't do a show yesterday. I wasn't here yesterday. What do you think about the T-Law rumors? I think he's too expensive. T-Law. I don't know if I heard those rumors. Liam, I'm not that bad. Steve Winters, Penguins need to rebuild. They're in that time. There, you guys are getting older, and their core group is definitely just old, and that's a lot of the things that are hindering the Pittsburgh Penguins for sure. They're in a definite rut right now, no doubt about that. It's very tough for sure, and I don't understand sometimes why they hold on to some of the players instead of using them, dangling them out there as trade bait, and getting some return on investment. It's almost like they're afraid to rebuild. Yeah, you could keep Crosby and keep that that guy there. But then you want to build around somebody like that to actually have a chance to win later in their careers. And I just feel like they don't do some of those things right now. Yeah, that would be a good one. Perry County. What happened to the North Stars? I don't know. I don't watch hockey enough, buddy. Uh, yeah, I don't. No, 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 no. You meant Trevor Lawrence? Yeah, I did that show the other day. That won't happen, Tom. That's a crazy thing that was made up by somebody just trying to gain clout and notoriety by making up some random rumor. We talked about that in depth if you go back a show ago, not yesterday, but Thursday's show. I talked to them or talked to that rumor that was made. That guy's an absolute idiot. He had no basis for that. He just made it up. Um, yeah, I know where the Dallas North Stars are. I know what the team is. I just don't know enough about hockey. I don't want to sit there and act like I do. I don't watch it enough anymore. Um, also, yeah, buddy, I don't know enough about hockey, man. I really don't. So I couldn't give you good answers on hockey. What do you think about Matt Stafford talk heating up more smoke? I think that's another one that makes no sense to me in my eyes in terms of what you got to give up, what you're getting a 38-year-old quarterback. I just don't think it makes sense. Again, when you look at a team like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, when they brought in a player like Tom Brady years ago, well, not years, but some years ago, to win that Super Bowl and to be competitive, they had a team in place that could win with an older quarterback. The Steelers aren't in that predicament right now. They don't have the offensive weapons to do so, which we're going to talk about some of that today in terms of weapons. Jalen Warren. We're going to talk a little bit about that in that running back room. We're also going to dive into this Justin Fields stuff too. Daniel Warman, what's up, man? Thank you, man. I appreciate that. But again, Matthew Stafford's a guy that it just does not make sense for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And some may sit out there and act like they got all the answers, and they're going to tell you it does make sense for Matthew Stafford to be brought in. It doesn't. It's just off-season talk, guys. You got to dive into really what is a real reality, what makes sense. Take into account what the Pittsburgh Steelers possess on their roster, and if it would make sense to you by bringing somebody like that in with the players that they currently have in place. And you got to say to yourself, the answer is no, definitely not. They got so much work to do in so many other areas that it doesn't make sense. Even look now, when you're looking at off-season priorities and you're looking at what this Pittsburgh Steelers team got, they have to do. One is sign a quarterback, and that has to be, in my eyes, Justin Fields right now. It's the only one that makes sense. And we're going to talk again about what Justin Fields said, according to Jeremy Fowler of ESPN, on his condition, on what he wants to see happen if he were to come back. But you look at nose tackle, that has to be a priority. And along that defensive front has to be a priority. You saw how important it was to the Philadelphia Eagles inside of the Super Bowl. And many said the Steelers were loaded up last year. They had a great defensive front. But, man, it really showed down the stretch how they really didn't because of the lack of depth at that area. And you got to get younger, you got to get stronger, you got to get faster, you got to get some real dogs inside of the trenches, you got to get a real nose tackle. Even look at the depth has already taken a hit, and one of the practice squad guys, guys like Braden Fiocco, who's now gone, his practice squad contract expired. So now you got to look and dig into how do you create depth and how do you create a real changing of the guard along that defensive front for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You've got to get so much younger, and that has to be a major, major priority for them. And you're going to have to spend some draft capital on it. And again, we just talked about what they gave up for Preston Smith. You've already lost some of those late round draft picks. You lost that 7th round here in 2025. You lost that 6th round in 2025 for Justin Fields. So you've definitely lost some of that late round draft capital where you could possibly get some diamond in the rough players. at the back end. So again, you're going to have to spend some of this draft capital that's near the front of the draft to get some of these players that you're going to need. That's why, again, signing Justin Fields has to be a priority. That way you have that spot nailed down in terms of your starter for 2025, because Justin says he don't want to really come to the Steelers, according to Jeremy Fowler, unless there is a clear-cut path for him to be the starter for 2025. And that doesn't, I don't blame him. After being benched, after going 4-2, it's really difficult to wrap your head around probably coming back to a team that benched you during that type of stretch. Regardless of the statistics, there is a section of the Pittsburgh Steelers locker room that is really behind Justin Fields and that would prefer him to be back in that building. And there is a section that wasn't happy that he was benched with what they were able to do with him at the helm. I feel like Justin, again, was a growth guy. He was growing every single week. So, again, I think that upset the apple cart. And at the time, when Russ was winning against some mediocre teams, I kind of just was like, I'll have some faith in Mike Tomlin and his decision-making. But I did mention to you guys over and over, if you watch the show, around that time when that quarterback change was made, I told you what I was really concerned about, and that was upsetting that team chemistry. And I think that it had more of an effect than many think or many realize. I think that move from Justin Fields to Russell Wilson really did make a problem, make an issue inside of that Steelers building. And again, many will say no, it didn't, whatever. But I really think after I saw this season totally unfold, I got to say that I do think that it did have an issue, made a problem inside of that building. And I really think also another thing that made some big issues inside of that locker room was when Russ was struggling down the stretch and the Steelers were struggling, instead of going to Justin for just the simple fact of gaining a spark inside of that offense that was ultra unproductive, an offense that couldn't do shit. Instead of doing that, Mike Tomlin let his ego blind him and his ego control what his decision-making was, and that was to maintain Russell Wilson as that starter because he didn't want to admit that he was wrong after running his jib, talking about that's why they pay him the big bucks, how great his decision was, how fabulous his decision-making is, and how great of a head coach he was for all this, talking himself up. And when that started to go south, he was so hung up with his ego that he couldn't admit that he was wrong and that he wouldn't go to Justin to get that spark. And good head coaches do that, especially when you are involved in a situation that the Steelers were 10-3, watching their season go down the toilet with loss after loss after loss, and never making any real significant changes to try to correct that and right that ship. And that, my friends, was the problem of 2024. They did not manage this roster correctly. And when I talk about Mike Tomlin, I say that all the time to you guys, and I think it's something that's discounted too. I tell you that I really, truly believe that his issues are in-game schematics and situational football is his major issue. And then following that up is his poor roster management, his inability to read the room, his inability to read his players. And that is a major issue that plagues Mike Tomlin. And it's right in front of you. You don't have to take my word for it. You guys see what is happening inside of that building. And again, if I'm Justin Fields, I'm not coming back into that situation where changes aren't going to be made due to a guy's ego. He doesn't want to hurt his own ego or try to, it is what it is. But if I were Justin, I'd be really hesitant about that. But also, guys, speaking of quarterbacks, you have Devlin Duck Hodges. He's now engaged to a country singer, a country western superstar in that genre. Devlin Duck Hodges is now engaged to, I believe her name's Lainey Wilson. So there you go. Pittsburgh Steelers quarterbacks out there still making waves even after their playing days. So yeah, he was in the news for that. So yeah. Quarterback. That got to be a priority. Again, we're going to talk about more of these offseason issues and what the Steelers got to do in terms of how they got to construct this offseason and what their game plan should be. I'll get back to the chat. I see you guys lighting it up. I appreciate that. But also, I need you guys to double tap that screen, hit that like button, send us out into that YouTube algorithm. I truly, truly appreciate that. Share the show, like the show. If you're not subscribed, then make sure you do subscribe before you take off today. Let's keep going. The Mike Tomlin retirement one and done team. I wish Mike Tomlin would retire. Ryan Van, let's go Steelers. Rodgers can tutor McCartan for a couple years. You mean McCarthy? Slayer play. Steelers suck. Tom Ford, I think the Steelers should stick with Justin Fields and draft a backup quarterback. Yeah, and I think a lot of that, Tom, is going to depend on what they're able to do in free agency in terms of shoring up some of the positions that maybe necessarily you won't have to attack inside of the draft because they don't have a ton of draft capital this year. And that's why I think I'm a major proponent right now of trading somebody like a Minkah Fitzpatrick, like a George Pickens to gain some of that draft capital for this upcoming draft to really try to make some splash moves and bring some players in that maybe have some high character and high work ethic and really good, solid team type guys. I think you really need to upset this culture a little bit. I think people are way too comfortable inside of the Steelers culture. I don't think there's any type of urgency inside of that building. And I know you hear some of these podcasters talking about the urgency is high because they want to win Cam and TJ a Super Bowl. They want to get that done. They know Cam is about to be expired here in terms of his playing days. Bullshit. There is no urgency. And the reason I can tell that there is no urgency, it's because they make zero moves that tell me that I should sense that they have some type of urgency to win. They don't. Because when you were 10-3 and the wheels started to fall off of the 2024 season, why didn't you try to do anything to make a spark, to try to get this thing switched up? Why didn't you adjust your schematics in any type of way? Why didn't you upset the quarterback room a little bit and insert Justin Fields in? If he'd have done bad, go back to Russ, whatever. But at least try to create that spark. And that, my friends, tells me that Mike Tomlin is not interested in winning football games to appease the fan base, to chase a Lombardi trophy. That's not what he's about. His lip service, that's what he says he's about, but his actions show me something different. His actions show me that all he's concerned about is Mike Tomlin's record, Mike Tomlin's ego, and that's what his actions show me. And people can sit there and say all these different arguments, but actions speak louder than words, and that is what that is showing me each and every day that he comes out there putting on that headset. Every time he steps to that podium, it's all about him. It's all about what he has going on. And again, his actions show that. Forgiveness is underrated. What do you think about the Eagles winning? Congratulations to the Eagles, man. Definitely. Terrible quarterback draft class coming up from Za. Absolutely. Miss Pittsburgh waving that terrible towel. Wave that terrible towel for Miss Pittsburgh. Does Tomlin have a lifetime qualified immunity? It sure seems like that, JG. That seems to be the real issue here. That seems to be the problem with the Rooneys. Over loyal. They used to walk that line of being, yeah, they're loyal, but you know what? They're not going to take it for too long. But now they just are so hung up on this Mike Tomlin thing. He will never, ever get fired, guys, and he freaking knows it. And that's why he has no urgency to care, no care in the world to try to make any changes during the season. Again, going to Justin would have been the ideal thing. And maybe this is, though, the situation. Maybe the reason he didn't go to Justin is because they would have had to give up that 6th-round pick. Is that 6th-round pick that 4th-round pick, rather? Is that 4th-round pick that valuable to you that you take a 10-3 football team and fucking not care and just give up? Is that 4th-round pick was that valuable? Come on now. WCW, go Birds. Sco 6 trade. Tomlin, I was the Lone Ranger about benching Fields or Russ. Yeah, he was the Lone Ranger, all right. It was all him, man, no doubt. His ego's something else. All right, guys, double tap that screen, hit that like button for us as we continue through the chat. We try to answer all the chat questions here on Mike Drop Sports and the show Steel City Live. Again, I just go down the list. I try my best to get through them all. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Steve Winters, bro, you're absolutely right. We need a nose tackle, but we do need to address the quarterback situation, and Justin would be the right person for right now. Here we go. Steelers from Miss Pittsburgh. Tomlin needs to go to a different team. I agree, Mike or Tom. They should have never lost against the Bengals. Yeah, it was just given up. It was given up. Armand, Tomlin's win rate on challenges is horrible as well. It absolutely is, man. JT Dennis, 1919. Tomlin doesn't want Russ more, right? I don't know what Mike Tomlin wants in terms of who he would prefer to have there. But I think the team and the organization realize that Russell Wilson isn't the answer. And what is the real problem here is, again, these older quarterbacks aren't giving you any type of promise for the future. They're not giving you any real progression. And this football team isn't built to win right now. Regardless of what anybody wants to think, there are too many holes to insert an old quarterback and expect to win. It's just not going to happen. I heard about Duck Hodges. Yeah, that was cool. Moses Jeremiah, thank you, man. I appreciate that I'm boring. If I'm so boring, you could go on. I don't know why you comment. John Gold, Mike Tomlin going to do whatever he want to do, so we don't even know who's going to be the quarterback next season. Yeah, Pittsburgh 412. No more stopgap dudes. We need to find a franchise quarterback via hell or high water. I would re-sign Fields and draft Will Howard or Jackson Dart. Sleeper pick the kid from Indiana, Rourke. Yeah, man, that's what I think the game plan should be too. Pittsburgh 412. Steve Winters. Well, you know he's Mike the cheerleader, not Mike the head coach. Absolutely, he's a turd. The Steelers need to trade Tomlin for draft capital. I wouldn't be opposed to it. But he has a no trade clause right now, so it's absolutely impossible to trade him. So unless he agrees to it. Justin's true value is 25 to 30 million floor. No, sorry, bud. I don't agree with that. That's astronomical, crazy money for Justin Fields. He hasn't done enough. And Justin even knows that his value isn't 25 to 30 million dollars per season. That's just unrealistic. You've got to prove yourself in some way. You have to be able to show that you can be that guy. Justin right now is a $10 to $15 million per season quarterback, and I'm not saying that he doesn't get a little bit more because guess what? This league overpays for quarterbacks, and that's just what it is. I'm not saying that he doesn't get in the $15 to $20 million per season range, but I think in my eyes, Justin Fields, his value is around 10 million per season right now. And again, that's not saying that doesn't change with play. That's why if you're the Steelers, a 2-year, 20 to 25 million dollar deal, fully guaranteed, isn't crazy, and it's not something that I would shake my head at if I were Justin Fields, considering I think the situation could be better for him. If Mike Tomlin's willing to maybe lose some of his ego. So definitely I think that should be something that the Steelers think about. Two number twos and a number 4 for Minka and Pickens, the way to go, and more cap space. Yeah, Minka's the big one, man. You're paying him $18 million. George has no cap space to speak of. It doesn't really matter what happens with George in terms of the money right now because he's under that last year of his rookie deal. So it's not tremendous amounts of money. But Minka, $18 million right now a season. That one could really free up some money if you were able to move on from him in some way. And again, eat up some of that, bring you some draft capital. Now, you always got to be careful with some of these trades, guys. You also got to be careful with some of these moves in general because sometimes when there's these exuberant salaries, these high salaries for some of these players at certain positions and things of that nature that you're trying to get out from under, you always got to take into consideration there may be dead cap money associated with some of those moves. So you got to take into consideration all of that also. Daniel Warman, BJ Hill would be a good free agent signing for the Steelers. Yeah. Tomlin's ego equals 100% correct. Brian Trey. Tomlin cares about winning regular season games. Yeah, the Amazon player watching Russ scramble is hilarious. Yeah, Russ just literally is not that guy that he used to be. And that's the problem. He's not adjusted his game to suit where he's at in his career right now. And again, not being able to throw across and utilize that middle of the field hurts really, really bad, man. You're taking a whole portion of the field and just crumpling it up and throwing it away. And when you're a defender or a defense and you're making a game plan and you know you don't have to guard certain portions of the field from the line of scrimmage 10 to 15 yards past the line of scrimmage, that block there, that immediate middle of the football field in terms of where the offense is attacking is definitely non-existent for the Steelers. They don't utilize it. They're not going to throw there. They're not going to be involved in that. Very infrequently will that happen, and teams know that, and they know they don't have to prepare for that. And it's very easily done when you could go out there and guard the edges and guard the back end and know to yourself that's where they're going to attack. We're going to have a solid effort in the run game in terms of stopping the run as a defense, and we're going to load the edges and load the back end. We're going to leave that middle alone because we know nobody's going to be there, and we're just going to attack. It's a simple formula to beat the Steelers, my friends. Justin was on pace for 30-plus touchdowns, run and pass, 4 interceptions, 95. That scared the shit out of Kahn and Tomlin. Flag for that silly comment. I can't remember which one. I got to throw one there. So, I'll throw it for you, buddy. I can't remember. Cam Ward is drawing a lot of big Ben comparisons. What do you think? It's tough to be what young Big Ben was. Young Big Ben wasn't the most athletic guy in the entire world. Young Big Ben was big, strong, and he could play backyard football like nobody else. But he also understood how to look downfield, and a lot of players don't possess that. A lot of players can get out there and scramble and get away from defenders, but they're looking to run first. Ben wasn't looking to run the football. Ben was back there shrugging people off and keeping his eyes down the field and trying to still push the football. That's what made Ben Roethlisberger great. Just not being a scrambler and taking off and running. That wasn't his game. Getting out there and breaking away from guys in the backfield and moving out to the edge and stopping before he got held short of that line of scrimmage and fired the football because receivers were able to get open. But that requires, too, a whole team effort offensively. You got to have receivers that are going 1,000% every play, and they don't stop until the whistle's blown. So if you got a scrambling quarterback, a guy that is going to get outside of the pocket and make plays if he gets in trouble, you got to have receivers that are going to go 1,000% all the time and not stop. And the Steelers, I don't know that they possess those guys right now because George Pickens, their number one target, goes half-ass on 95% of the plays. Dang, QB troubles in Pittsburgh. I'm glad we have Stroud. Yeah, Stroud's a good one. Art should sell the team to someone who cares about more than filling seats and buying merch. MMJ, advisor, I wonder if this guy liked the Steelers. Although the Bears couldn't even get $10 million worth out of him. Doug P, what's up? Justin been in the pros for 4 or 5 seasons now and still can't read defenses. His only saving grace is his legs. I got to agree. He's had major difficulties with that, Doug. Oh, excuse me, guys. But I got to say, I saw some growth. I saw him attacking a little bit in terms of what he was able to do downfield, his recognition and coverages and things. I definitely saw growth in that during his 6 starts with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And by far, he was still he had way more to go. He had a lot of growth still. But he was growing, and that was what was special. And he still was able to use his legs. But I think he was really making a conscious effort into really trying to identify coverage and really trying to figure out how to push the football down the field with his arm. And it did happen occasionally. And he was getting better each and every week. I just think that growth was stunted, though, by Mike Tomlin's ego. He hasn't done enough. Bears GM stripped the roster. Yeah, dude, he's not played with the same offensive coordinator in consecutive years ever in his career. He has never had the same offensive coordinator back-to-back years. So, I mean, that definitely stunts a guy's growth, for sure. Does it give Justin a free pass on some of the things that he's deficient in? Absolutely not. But it is a problem. All bullshit. Fields isn't getting that. Fields should get about 10 to 50. Yeah, I agree. Steeler Raid 44. As long as Tomlin is head coach, we will never win another championship. Scott says, yeah, you get a first for Minka. Take it, no question. Yeah, I think what Minka would probably demand in the open market right now would probably be as high of a pick as a second, maybe. That would probably be best case scenario right now. Second and a fifth, or third and fourth, something like that would probably be the trade compensation package for a guy like Minka, where a team's willing to take on that salary and also trade off some players. That would probably be about it. You're not going to get a first-round pick for Minka Fitzpatrick right now. The guy hasn't really made a play in 2.5 years in terms of splash. He's had one interception or something like that, nothing to really speak of in terms of really creating any type of dynamic plays in the back end of that Steelers defense in a long time. And again, I know injuries have happened. I know the Steelers are really shitty in the run game. They can't stop anybody, so he does look like, he flies around. Well, yeah, I mean, the Steelers' front end failing, and he makes the tackle in the back end, great. Yeah, so I don't know if Minka would be getting a fifth or a first round pick, but he would bring some value and significant value because if you by chance get a second round pick for him, you could really turn that into something special. Steelers 44. As long as Tomlin, we did that. Justin Fields is the guy. Hold on, let me find where we were. Craig Warlow, I think the Steelers will lose out on Fields if they wait. Too many other teams looking: Giants, Raiders, Jets, Browns, and a few more bridge quarterbacks that Fields. Yes, and I was going to bring that up. So, thank you, Craig. I appreciate that. If the Steelers have a chance at Justin Fields, they have to snag him the first day or two. They really have to have a deal in place during the legal tampering period with Justin, because if they let him go out there and really explore any other avenues, he's not going to be coming back to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I can say that with pretty much certainty, guys. Definitely Justin Fields has to be acquired within the first, couple hours of free agency. That just has to be. Again, probably during the legal tampering period, there has to be a deal in place. But again, if the Steelers don't go out there and really try to gain something quickly in terms of a deal with Justin Fields, he's going to go elsewhere, no doubt about it. There's a lot going on with that, man. Definitely. Hasn't done enough. Justin Fields' cleats are in the NFL Hall of Fame. Name another 25-year-old quarterback to accomplish that in year two when the GM was tanking and losing on purpose. Woke black man. Cincinnati Bengals are winning the Super Bowl next season. Facts. Well, I'm glad you're confident, bro. Zach Curry, Russ. Can't see over the middle. Sacked 5 times in one game. Can't win a playoff game. Lost 5 in a row. Close to retirement. JF2 is the answer. Steve Winters. Jason Hoodie really thinks making the decisions. Mike Tomlin or Omar Khan. Who do I think's really making the decisions? I think it's Mike. I really do. I think Omar does, though, play a big factor in some of the player acquisitions. No doubt about that. I think Andy Waddle plays a big role in some of that, too. Tom Ford, if Pickens gets traded to a team that has a Hall of Fame coach or a head coach that won't put up with his BS, unlike Tomlin, he could be awesome. Absolutely. He needs some real structure and guidance, and Mike Tomlin doesn't provide that to him. Steeler Kid, do you think we need an offensive line? No, I think the offensive line is very young and is going to grow, and I think that they will be way better, and I think you'll start to see some of that maturity shine through. Again, you have first-round talent all over that offensive line. You have a guy like Mason McCormick, who was, a late-round pick for the Steelers and was able to come in and start a bunch of games even though he wasn't ready, but he was able to do it, and experience is invaluable, and that's just going to help Mason and really springboard his career in a big way. So I definitely think the Steelers have the tools along the offensive line. Depth is always something that you have to add. It's always something important. So again, you always got to be looking there, but I think the Steelers are definitely going to have a positive offensive line here in the next couple years. You said it, Tom. Lorraine Davidson, Steelers need to let Tomlin go. He has lost the locker room respect. Mark D. Moss, this Rooney sure ain't his daddy. Tomlin / Connor not being held responsible for their coaching / personnel decisions. I'm still not out on Omar Khan. I think Omar Khan hasn't been there long enough to really, give him a true fair grade. In my opinion, I think he's done rather well with some of the things that he's been able to do. But Mike Tomlin's definitely by far wore out his welcome, and his decision making is so poor. It's absolutely, utterly disgusting. Big Ben didn't get that nickname because of his size. It was because he made big plays in college. Let's go. Leah Go Bears. Justin Fields is the most accurate QB in PFF's history. Pro Football Focus is so stupid. Honestly, Pro Football Focus, if that's what you're referring to, I hate Pro Football Focus. I think it's such stupid shit. I think they focus on a lot of shit that just is irrelevant to the game, in my eyes. Bro, thanks, man. I appreciate that, Theodore. If you know any more, you can email me, Theodore, at Mike Drop Sports. So MikeDropSports@yahoo.com. You're welcome to come on, Theodore, and we'll test your football knowledge. If you would like to go in and dive in and have a battle of wits about football, you're welcome to come on the show. I'll bring you right on, buddy. You can come on and we can talk football, and we'll see how much you know about football. So MikeDropSports@yahoo.com. You're welcome to email me at any time. I'll bring you on the show, and we'll see what you got. But until then, you can't talk no shit until we see what you got. Lorraine Davidson, they took a long finding at quarterback to replace Ben. They should have bad back. Yeah, they didn't prepare. Absolutely. They did not prepare. Pittsburgh 412, my knock on the season is Russ, we wasn't a Russ away from competing for a championship, so we should have seen an extended look at Fields to know what you really have before committing the money to him. Yeah, and the Steelers wasted that opportunity, absolutely, and that's what I've been saying, Pittsburgh 412. I don't think that they were a quarterback away. I think they had issues that they weren't able to solve. Zach Curry, what wide receivers do you like in free agency? Who do you hope we pick up? T. I want to see T. Higgins, man. I really, really do. I wish. I wish. Mark DeMoss, we could have had Jalen Hurts instead of Chase Claypool with our OCs. It would have been a wasted talent. Justin Fields with competent coaching could be a solid starter in this league. Yeah, isn't it amazing how many stupid players have been drafted by the Steelers, like Terrell Edmonds, like in the position that they were drafted? Chase Claypool. Yeah, they definitely make some dumb moves. But you know what? When you're drafting players, it's not an exact science. You're not going to know until a player really hits the field. And again, I think the Steelers have been over the last few years really caught up in drafting out of positional need as opposed to best player available. And I think that that's gotten them in trouble. And I think, again, the real philosophy and how to win inside of the NFL draft is always drafting best player available. That's how you win inside of the NFL draft. And sometimes people try to outsmart themselves and go, well, we need this positional need. That's not how you play that draft game. I would trade Pickens and draft picks to acquire Trevor Lawrence. Well, Trevor Lawrence isn't on the market, guys. He's not going to be traded. That was so made up by a guy that was just chasing clout. Don't click on some of these. If the deal and the move sounds outrageous, it's probably outrageous. Don't click on these things, guys. You're getting bamboozled you're making these people money, and you're getting bamboozled. I'm just telling you. I'm in Jersey. I can tell you as if I know there are not too much talk about Fields for the Giants or Jets locally. That's from Pittsburgh 412. Yeah, there may not be just yet in the papers. That stuff's going to heat up. We'll see. Again, I don't know what teams are going to be in play. I really, truly don't. But there's going to be a handful. There will be some suitors who they may be. We can all speculate, but definitely there will be some suitors. Justin has been on the Bears. No, he hasn't been on the Bears. He's been on the Steelers for 2024. He was not. He was traded. But he was a Bear for 4 years. 4 years. If the Steelers offer Justin Fields 10 to 15 million, to folks who had to game plan against him in the NFC North, Jets head coach Vikings will sign him. Steelers can bid on Darnold. Yeah, the Steelers again, in my eyes, they're in such a flux year. 2026 is where they got to go get somebody in terms of in the draft, a young stud franchise quarterback. I think they can make it happen then, but they just got to prepare for that. All right, guys, I need you to double tap that screen, hit that like button for us here on Steel City Live, only on Mic Drop Sports. If you're not subscribed, I don't know what the hell you're waiting for. Join the conversation each and every single day here on the channel as we continue to dive through the chat. And again, dude, I bust my ass to answer a lot of your chat questions. You go to other Steelers podcasts, you're probably not even going to get your comment read or talked about. So again, hit that like button for me because I do bust my ass trying to get you guys included into the show. So show me a little love by doing that for you to hit that like button. It's absolutely free. Double tapping that screen or hitting 3 little white dots up in the right-hand corner of your screen. And I know it's the offseason. So yeah, it's football. It's the offseason. The Eagles just won the Super Bowl, but we're still diving in here pretty much each and every single day. Sometimes I take a break. Again, I'm studying for a test for work and stuff, so I've been really wrapped up into that. So we're gonna try to get through some more of these chat questions. In hindsight, the Falcons were smart picking up Penix in the first round. Yeah, they were. I guess. Yeah, hindsight's 2020, man. Rob Lightfoot at quarterback, I think we should go with Justin Fields. I don't know why we let Kyle Allen go. I thought Allen could be a number 2 quarterback and maybe get a quarterback in the 4th round. Maybe the Notre Dame quarterback, wide receiver room. Yeah, they got some holes, man. A mid-round quarterback wouldn't be bad. Absolutely not. Lorraine Davidson, ever since Rooney family started DEI hiring, they haven't been the same. That's definite argument. No doubt about it. I can't disagree with you. Solo, Steelers suck. Browns are going to beat you twice next year. Here's something about the Browns, Solo. When your most prized player on your whole roster asks to be out of there, that tells you something about your organization, Solo. That should just really ring through your head and tell you everything you need to fucking know about your roster, about your franchise. I mean, they're dog shit, literal dog shit. They have the dog pound. It's like literally an abused dog laying in a kennel with dog shit and piss all around with no food and water. That's the analogy I would use to describe the Cleveland Brown franchise. Pittsburgh 4-2 O-line coach should have not been brought back. No, but Pat Meyer is a Mike Tomlin buddy, man. They're super tight. They're buddies. And they sit around laughing at the Steelers franchise and say to themselves, no matter how bad we are, no matter what we do wrong, we're not going to be replaced until we want to go. The con artist is cooking from ZA. Is there a Cleveland Stinkers fan in the chat? Yeah, you always get some weirdos, Tom. Pittsburgh 4-2. Tomlin will be gone after this. After his most recent extension. I hope so, man. I'm tired of it. Where are we at? Doug P. Pittsburgh needs that team leader who's not afraid to call out his teammates and hold them accountable. We really haven't had that guy since Harrison. Yeah, I think they have some of that in Cam and TJ, but yeah, they need some vocal leaders, man. Yeah, their coaching sucks, go. 6 Trey. Black and gold. Do you think they'll bring back Nate Herbig? I see Trey Smith would be a free agent, especially if we don't bring Daniels back. Also, what's the chances of us trying to steal Asante Samuel Jr.? I just had a little phone call come through. But yeah, Herbig's going to be interesting again. Depth at the offensive line position is always key, but again, it's got to be at the right value, and that's something you just got to play the game with, man. Again, we got to get that true number of what the Steelers are going to really have close to deal with. That number could always be skewed. The that's when we could really start seeing the real adjustments and what they could actually do in terms of free agency. Daniels, I don't expect him to be back. Especially after an Achilles injury. I just look for the Steelers to be moving on from that, especially with the way Mason McCormick was able to step in and play. I look for James Daniels to just be gone. Why would they pay all that money when they could have Mason McCormick in there and, have a serviceable job done by a young guy that could potentially grow and have a high ceiling and see what he can do? There's just no reason to bring back an older, higher-priced player that's coming off an Achilles injury. It just doesn't make sense. Six Trey fact, the generational QB the Bears drafted couldn't win 5 games being surrounded by more talent than Justin Fields could ever dreamed of. Guys, I don't know if you've ever watched this channel, Six Trey, but I told you, and many others did too, that Caleb Williams is going to be a problem. He's not going to be the quarterback people think he's going to be. He can go paint his fingernails somewhere else and act really weird. He's an odd guy. Ever since I saw that interview that he did with the Pivot and Ryan Clark and the guys, I had a bad feeling about him. That guy's a fucking weirdo, dude. There's something wrong with that cat. And I think that he is just not going to be the player that they thought. And I said that all summer. I said that before they drafted him. I said that the best quarterback in that draft was Jaden Daniels. And I think that we've been proved right by that. I just have never been a big Caleb Williams fan. Lorraine Davidson, if the Steelers would have been trying to hire Jim Harbaugh while he was at Michigan, I would have been. Yeah, you wanted them to if you were the Steelers. Grasshopper Plus, go Browns. How would you feel if you were a Browns fan? We all think that our life's rough as a Steelers fan. How would you feel if you were a Browns fan, knowing that your franchise was finally on a trajectory in which they were going to win? They got a playoff win. They were doing things with Baker Mayfield. The team was starting to look good. They were starting to have success, and they threw it all away to go out and draft a pervert or to bring in a pervert and trade away their financial future and their draft capital future for a guy like Deshaun Watson. How stupid can you be? You know what I mean? I'm just saying. Browns doing Brown type shit. Claypool got 4 touchdowns in 1 game against Philly in 2020. It's crazy how he was a bust. Yeah, man, he just wasn't that guy. Daniel Warman, it seems the Steelers are in a rebuilding year. They need too many playmakers. The Bengals are closer to a championship. The Bengals are only closer to a championship is because they have Joe Burrow. Their defense is absolute terrible in Cincinnati. Did it get better? Yes. But man, I don't know if you guys have in Cincinnati the front office staff that's stable enough and smart enough to really realize what it takes to win football games. Yeah, they got to the Super Bowl a couple years ago, but that was off sheer talent after years of just sucking and getting good draft picks and just I just don't ever see them continue down the right paths in order to build this roster. And again, what if they do bring back T. Higgins and they have Jamar Chase? They've now dumped so much money into 3 players that it's almost virtually impossible to put a solid roster around those players. And that's where I think the Bengals are running into the issues, They're just putting too much stock into just a couple players instead of having your 1 or 2 superstar players and building a solid roster around them to give them the help, When you overpay in certain areas and you're just not strategic in your planning, you never have enough draft capital to go out there and totally fix a football team. And the amount of needs that they have in certain areas that are key is a problem. And I don't know, maybe they overcome it. And again, Joe Burrow is a generational talent. Jamar Chase, a generational talent. But you're just one injury away from one of those 3 players. If you would pay T. Higgins, you're one injury away from being in a tough spot, and again, depth is key. And if you can't have solid depth, It's tough, man. It's really, really tough. The Bengals, I just feel like, are in a very unique, tough situation, in my opinion. Yeah, Roman will play, Tom. Have no fear. Jason, we've covered almost every position except corner. Do you think the Steelers need another corner? Yeah, I think they do. Joey Porter's going to be good. I think he's good. They definitely got to go out there and get another top shelf cornerback. No doubt about that. I think that's a need. How about the running back room, guys? What about this running back room? Do you guys think that Jaylen Warren's performance in 2024 was just because Jaylen Warren isn't that good? Or do you think it was a combination of injuries and lack of schematic competence by the Steelers? Lack of usage in terms of roster management by guys like Mike Tomlin? Do you think those things came into effect? And do you think the Steelers are absolutely in a bad place in that running back room, considering the chances of bringing a guy like Najee back are slim to none due to what he's going to want? I don't know. That's a big question, too. Thank you, Pittsburgh 412, Mike Drop Sports, Ravens. Wow, let's keep it sports with the Diablo. Yeah, I don't like to talk about that kind of stuff either, but we have to be real about it. That has to be part of that conversation with Mike Tomlin, because the Steelers were the team that started that. And I know sometimes conversations are tough, and sometimes the conversations are uncomfortable, and that does scare me sometimes. But you know what? I always got to remain true. And yes, that has to be a little bit of part of it. I'm not saying it has to be a major part of it, but that has to be included into that conversation. Whether it's right or wrong, that's neither here nor there. It's still in the mind of some fans. And that definitely is part of the conversation. It has to be. No, we'll pass on that, Lorraine. Hold on. Do not spam the chat, Lamar Jackson guy. I'm gonna put you in timeout because I hate that shit, man. If you can't act right, don't come. Like, that spam in the chat shit with Ravens are better. It's so fucking annoying, bro. You must be a kid. I think I know who you are. So don't do that, man. Said it a while ago, Jackson Dart now. Everyone is saying his stock is going up. It's all coin flip, but I feel better about what I said. Yeah, man, I hope they hit on somebody like that, Doug. I hope you guys are right when you're talking about some of these guys. That would be very interesting to see, man. I always love to see a story like that. Something similar to that, Tom. Yeah, I got some tests I got to take and things for certifications. Lamar J, don't spend. Thank you, TD. Yeah, I got rid of him. He was getting on my nerves, man. I think I know who it is, TD. All right, guys, we've been going for about an hour. I'm going to wrap it up, man. Again, appreciate you guys so very, very much. Thank you for joining us here on Steel City Live in the channel Mike Drop Sports. We'll be back again. Monday is the next time we'll be back. I got youth basketball tomorrow. So thank you guys. Thank you to some of the newer people that I saw in the chat. I appreciate you guys stopping in and contributing to the chat. That was very awesome. Thank you to all the OGs of Mike Drop Sports. You guys know who you are. So thank you for joining us again. Truly, truly appreciate it. Until Monday, I'm Jason. This is Steel City Live, only here on Mike Drop Sports. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, my friends. Peace.